Since 1950, as a world, we've created 9 billion tons of plastic material. 9% of those materials have been recycled, 12% have been burned, and 79% end up in our landfills and our environment. In this speech, I'm going to talk about how much plastic is in our oceans, how those plastics get into our oceans, and what effects that has on our ocean. In this speech, I hope it motivates you to go out on your own and do a little more research on this topic, because for me, as having a family, it's opened my eyes up to the world and how we are living in it. And I care about this because I want to make sure I'm leaving it the best I can for them in their future. So today again, I'm going to inform you on how much plastic is getting in the ocean, what kinds and how that plastic is getting there, and what that plastic is doing to the ocean. So first, let's talk about how much plastic is in the ocean. In a report by Jenny Griffin and her team, 12.7 tons of plastic enter the ocean every year. Now that would equivalent to 5 trillion individual pieces of plastic. That's from the size of giant fishing nets, the bags that you get from the gas station, the plastic bottles you buy from that gas station, the lids from all those bottles, straws, and six-pack rings, or just to name a few of those items that end up in the ocean. And to think about it this way, say you're sitting on the beach, you'd be watching a truckload a minute dumped in the ocean next to you. Now, 90% of those items that are entering the ocean aren't large, big vessels and pieces of equipment that have been left there from shipping containers or fishing trips. Most of them are single-serving items, so the silverware you get in your takeout dinner. Any piece of plastic from bags and wrappers, all of those things can easily be blown around and blown right into the ocean. Bottle caps are the second biggest culprit to items being found in the ocean. And some of the smaller microscopic pieces are what wreak havoc on the small crustaceans in fish and the fish that eat those fish. So now that I've given you some insight on how much plastic is in the ocean, now we're going to talk about how that plastic is actually getting there. So most times you think plastic would come off shipping containers blown off in storms, or nets being blown off the boats when they're hitting turbulent waters, or oil drilling rigs that have incidents and accidents out there. You think that a lot of things would come from there, but actually most of it is, and 90% of all the trash comes from land-based sources. So that's saying, in this diagram I have here, that most of the trash is coming from wind and rain, littering, so people who drive on the interstate and throw things out of their car or gets blown out of their car. I know I've had accidents where I've had a plastic bag in my car just float up in the air and shoot out the window. Didn't want it to happen, didn't mean for it to happen, but it happened. Storms, inclement weather, and things like that also are a big culprit of a lot of those wastes getting pushed off into the ocean. The amount of straws surveyed and found in a quarter-mile area would have been 45 times taller than the World Trade Center. Small cigarette lighters would have stacked up to be 10 times higher than the Eiffel Tower. That's a pretty large amount, considering that's just in a small section being surveyed. It's not a large area. The ocean is bigger than all the land, and they're only being able to look at small groups, and to see that much trash in that amount of space is kind of scary. Now, all this trash follows the tides, and it ends up in one of the 5 great garbage patches in the ocean, one of the largest which goes from California to Japan. Now, when you think about a great garbage patch in the ocean, it's not like an island. It's not like a floating solid object of just trash sitting there. It's more of like a plastic soup. So imagine swimming into a sludge of bottles and bags and wrappers and trash that is the size of Texas. And imagine the fish in the wildlife that live in the ecosystem. Birds that can inhabit that area, fly from nearby islands and rummage through those things, and the effect that has on our environment. So now that I've talked about how much plastic is in the ocean, how that plastic is getting there. Let's talk about what that plastic is doing to our environment. So, with all the plastic in the ocean, there has to be an effect, right? Because a lot of people live off fish, not just Americans, not just everywhere all over the world. A lot of people live off wildlife from the ocean. A lot of people don't eat hamburgers, they don't eat steak, they don't eat land-based mammals. A lot of them only live off fish. And of course, a lot of other fish live off fish. So what do you think if those fish are eating plastic, the fish that live off those fish eat? More plastic. And a lot of times those fish that eat plastic, we eat those fish. So if those fish is eating plastic, that means we're eating plastic. And I know I don't like eating plastic. Every year, the amount of plastic in the ocean kills about 10 or 100,000 sea mammals. Those are mammals. That's not all ocean. That's just ocean mammals. And they say over 1 million plus birds and other wildlife suffer every year as well from just ingesting plastic. Birds feeding plastic to their babies. Those babies eat that and they can't pass it, they can't digest it, they can't live off it, and they pass away. Sometimes they eat plastic and it gets tangled up inside of them. That makes it so they're no longer with us. Sometimes big fishing nets have came off the back of, same thing happens. 9 out of 10 seabirds studied by a man named Claire Guerra were found to have plastic in their digestive system. So you take 10 birds, put them in a group, one of those birds would not have plastic, all the other 9 would. Same with 1 in 3 sea turtles were found with some form of plastic in their digestive system, some sort of plastic around them. And as well as half of all whales and dolphin species have also been found with plastic in their systems. Animals as deep as the Mariana Trench have been found with plastics in their system. And that is the deepest place known to Earth. Plastic has also been the cause of coral reefs dying. And the ocean actually creates most of our oxygen. So if those coral reefs are dying, the ocean is creating much less oxygen. And these are some very big effects the ocean is having, or plastic is having in the ocean. So in conclusion, I have talked about how much plastic is in the ocean, how that plastic is getting into the ocean, and what that plastic is doing to our ocean. I hope this speech has informed you on this topic, and that you want to go out and learn some more on your own. I want to thank you for your time and hope you have a wonderful day.